You're the therapist here.
Yes.
So you don't recommend this, or do you recommend living together?
I do recommend it, but again, as anything else, it's like when you get a gym membership, you can go inside the gym, but if you're not working out, you're not going to see any results. So whether you're cohabiting or you're married, if you're not working on your relationship, it's not going to last. So although statistics do say that cohabiting before marriage leads to higher infidelity rates, it leads to higher divorce rates, it depends on whether people are working on their relationship or not. So people who seek premarital counseling typically have just as much of success in their marriage. It's just about, are both partners willing to work on growing the relationship? And if the intentions align, then it could be a great opportunity to get to know each other, and I'm all for it at that point.
Now, Mercedes, the divorce rate, what is it, like 50%?
Yes. It's still pretty high. Even with less people getting married, there's still a very high divorce rate, which discourages a lot of couples. It discourages a lot of men and women. But again, I believe that if we work on the relationship, this rate shouldn't be as high as it is. I think people get too comfortable.
I was going to say, is it still necessary, or do you think it's an outdated thing? Because it seems like, I mean, with a 50% failure rate, that's pretty bad.
Right. So I think that back in the day, the failure as far as the divorce rate depended on circumstances. I think now people have a shorter attention span. Social media makes us constantly compare our relationship to other people's fake postings of how happy they look.
Right.
And so because of that, we're constantly feeling more impulsive to leave that relationship. And when you're cohabiting, you kind of already have that less security, so you feel like one foot is already out because nothing is joined together legally, so you feel more impulse to kind of like leave whenever you want. If we could just focus on our relationship, I don't see a need for the divorce rate to be that high.
I think you did touch upon a couple of things that it's so on point. People are kind of disposable now. It feels that way, you know, like, it's amazing how many people that, you know, we have friends with that are actually married and living together. It seems like it's a minority now.
Yep.
Right? Like, I don't see a lot of married people, especially in Los Angeles.
Yep.
In Texas, a little bit more, but here I just don't see it. I feel like people are constantly holding out for the bigger, better deal, or they're afraid. So kudos to you for like even getting to that step, because you don't even really see that except to save some money as like roommates.
Yeah, thank you.
You know?
So I have a quick question for you. So do you feel like if you guys were engaged or married, it would have lasted, or do you just feel like that was a relationship thing? Because I was curious about that.
Kind of both.
Yeah.
So it's a good question, because I kind of feel like we did get engaged actually in the process. And then it still didn't work, but you said something really key, and it was about two people working on the relationship. So I feel like it may have fallen apart anyway, but all of that, bringing our things together, bringing our lives together, cars, all insurance, all that paperwork stuff. And then when I moved out, that nigga kept my pods.
He kept your pods.
He kept my pods. He could really cook. He kept my pods.
Wow.
But it's okay. If you're watching, I forgive you. But it was
Hold up. Did you take anything of his?
No, I didn't want anything of his. I gave the ring back. I gave
Hopefully you
everything
left him with the
back.
pot that you scrape up the bottom and they have that
Man,
poison.
they were my nice pods. They were my nice pods. But I felt like if we had not just gone into, well, we together, part of it was finances. The place I was in had flooded. And so it was, do I keep looking for another place? Hey, he said, come stay with me.
So was it more out of convenience than love? It sounds like that kind of...
I thought I loved him. I felt like I did. And I had a married couple that said, just come stay with us. And my pride was like, oh, I don't want to stay with y'all. I'm going to go stay with my man. We already going in that direction. But I just felt like because we hadn't spent the time, like you said, premarital counseling, building a foundation when we came together, it didn't work.
I also think that a lot of times, you know, we think that love is going to make people's intentions change. And I think people don't talk about intentions when they get together. They think that, oh, because I love him so much and right now he loves me so much, eventually he's going to want to marry me or she's going to want to marry me. And some people's intentions don't change just because they love each other. So if he never wanted to get married, it doesn't matter how long you either live together or not. He might have just not been into marriage. That's why it's good to talk about these things while you're dating.
So, Walnut and Donnie, have you guys thought about counseling? or have you done counseling yet?
No.
We have not. I've thought about it. I've just never brought it to his attention.
Okay.
But yeah, I think it's healthy to. Every relationship goes through their trials and tribulations, and I think that living together is definitely the test. You know, I don't think people should do it for that reason, but I think that that's when you really get to learn more about an individual and yourself. And I think right before marriage, it'll be nice to just air it all out, you know,
right.
if that's what your relationship needs. So,
Donnie, why did you want to move, like, live together?
Well, we both were. We were living in Georgia together, and then we wanted to come out here and live the dream, or chase the dream, what have you. And I felt like coming out here together will help each other as a team and a unit, and figure out like this is moving across the country with someone, and you really figure them out. And
that's a commitment.
Yeah, that's definitely a big commitment, and so far it's been great. So,
what do your friends and family think about you two moving in together, shacking up, they call it, without the ring? Is there pressure from them, like, when's the wedding? Do they ask? They probably ask you that more, right?
it's crazy. I feel like lately my family's been like, where's my grandkids? I'm like, excuse me. We need to, do things right. But no, there weren't too many disagreements, at least not with my family.
So the family, they were okay. How about your boys?
My boys?
Did they say, I'm thinking, good-looking man, no offense,
no,
not being shady, okay. Moving from, you said from Georgia to LA, where everybody knows the ratio of men to women, it's like a candy store for men here. And you're moving, your woman's beautiful, very beautiful, but this is a place where men, like, they put off settling down here because the ratio is just so in their favor.
Right.
Did your boys ever say, you crazy, you moving to LA with your woman?
Yeah, I had a few, but at the end of the day, for me, it's more so about really getting this stuff together. Like, I didn't come out here to get on women. Like, and that, if I didn't bring her out there, it probably would have been a distraction. You get what I'm saying? Like, if we was like not together and I came out here for women, then I probably wouldn't be doing as well as I'm doing, because she holds me accountable and she stays on me. So.
Oh, that's so cute. Y'all can clap that up. Good job. Oh, we got a good one. Now, do you both want to get married?
Yes.
Okay. We're gonna work this out on the show today. Do you think, Mercedes, you have a greater chance of getting married or a lesser chance when you live with someone? Because, we have our aunts and our grandmoms that say, why is he going to buy the cow when he gets some milk for free and all that stuff? We've all heard that, right? So do you think it lessens your chances or increases your chances?
Unfortunately, statistics and research shows that the longer you cohabit, the less your chances for getting married, because people get complacent, they get comfortable. The thrill of the wedding day isn't as thrilling anymore. The mystery is kind of out of the relationship. So all of this really factors in. Now, again, it depends on the couple. So if he has a plan in mind and he tells her the plan and there's a timeline, then there's definitely success in the future. But if he's not sure and he's figuring himself out, then that definitely could work against them eventually getting married, because people could get very comfortable living together and then you don't really see the need to take it a step further.
I hate when I see that. I knew this guy, he had 5 kids with this woman, 5 kids, right? And I said, when are you gonna marry this woman? He tells me, I don't want a commitment. I'm like, dude, you got like a lot of years tied up with that one right there. Like, I think that's more of a commitment.
Yep.
Yeah.
But for some reason, that M word, for some people, it just freaks them out.
Which is so interesting, because in undergrad I did a study on marriage, and I think that this blows a lot of people's minds, because I never liked the idea of men seeing marriage as such a restriction and being tied down, and women seeing it as such a thrilling experience. So I kind of wanted to take a feminist stand and say, wait a minute, it's beneficial to guys as well. So I did a research study, and I was able to prove that men actually are healthier when they're married.
Live longer, I saw that.
They live longer when they're married, and women are healthier when they're single. So
it's really not in our benefit to be locked down.
See, you know what I'm saying?
We gotta get with the program.
She better start something up here now.
See, now he wants to do it. See? So I just think that we really need to kind of look at the situation differently, and that there's a lot of health benefits for men getting married. Women are more nurturing. They keep the man on top of their medical appointments. They make sure he takes care of himself. And that takes away from her taking care of herself. Whereas if she was single, she would have been on top of those things.
What you think about that?
I agree. I couldn't agree more. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I've definitely learned that more living with him, though, than anything else.
So it's more of a sacrifice on the woman's part?
Depending. I mean, I got lucky, but it depends on what the dynamic is in the relationship. If it's 50-50, then there's no sacrifice because you're feeding each other and you're nurturing each other. But typically in more traditional marriages, it's definitely more of a sacrifice. The woman takes care of the kids. She's the more nurturing one. So all of that takes up her self-care, her mental well-being, her emotional well-being, you know, and it nurtures the man more. So I think that we need to rethink this whole idea of marriage and stop saying that a guy is going to be tied down. We're actually increasing their lifespan.
You hear that, fellas? Okay, yeah, you can clap that up. Because it does seem like, you always hear it. It seems like the man is like he's giving something up, right? And he's like, she's the old ball and chain. It doesn't sound fun. And the woman's just like so giddy about the wedding and the marriage and all that. And like, think of it, y'all get meals, y'all get sex, y'all probably save a whole bunch of money on the random dates with all these thoughts y'all be going out with. I'm just saying, there's a lot of benefits. And just knowing that someone has your back and like that actually cares about you. Yeah. And not just out to date you to get a meal, because people are doing that now too.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, now according to the National Center for Family and Marriage Research, between 2000 and 2013, 69% of women lived with their partners before their first marriage. How are millennials changing the stigma of cohabiting?
I think that millennials nowadays are getting married less because of seeing and witnessing the failure in their parents' marriages. And so there's less temptation to want to get married, along with, like I said, the comparisons and social media and the idea that we have so many limitless choices. I think it makes people slow. It doesn't give us the urgency to want to settle down, whereas back in the day, that's what people did. We were socially conditioned to find someone and to get married. Now it's like, oh, it's all about choice and more, and we just get bored more easily.
Plus now anything goes. And back in the day, in our parents' days, you kind of had to wait to have kids. You had to get married first to have kids. Now there's not as much of a stigma. It's not like before the cousin had to be sent off to some other relative's house because you shamed the family. Now people are just like living their best lives. How many kids Future got now? Like 9?
Oh,
8, 9?
That we know of.
That we know of, right? Brenda, do you think they're making a mistake by living together before getting married?
I want to say no, because it's an individual's situation.
You could be messy here.
So it's not a black and white thing.
Okay.
So I haven't had a chance to sit and talk with them, but from what I'm getting, they came here with a goal. They came here with an idea in mind. He probably has a timeline. So for them, no. But in general, like you mentioned about having a plan and because what happens is I have a friend. They have been engaged for 7 years, and they've been living together for 7 years.
Wow.
They have 3 kids. They never, like you said, they got comfortable. They never moved forward. So put a timeline on it.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And it is different when you're younger and you're moving across the country. That's a big move. So I could see why, hey, you're my person. Let's go do this thing. You know what I mean? But you need to set parameters for both of you. It's just fair for both of you. Right. It's just the best to make that decision.
So is that how you think your situation differed from theirs? You didn't put parameters? Did you not put any on them? On him?
I did. I thought I was putting parameters. I thought we were having the same conversation, that we were like-minded. Obviously, we're not. You know what I mean? This seems different. You guys came with a goal in mind. Yeah. So it's different. So even though I discourage living together, in general, each situation is different. Like, I've had friends that they were on the path to getting married, and then there was a financial situation. She lost her job. So is he going to leave his woman homeless, sleeping on somebody's couch? Of course not. So what they did was they got married, moved into his place, and then now they're planning the big wedding. But they were already in the mindset. They were already going in that direction.
Right.
So it's just more of what are we doing?
Right.
And women, we're big on what are we doing?
Right.
You know what I mean? And I believe that guys are like that too, but we need the security from that man. What am I doing? Don't waste my time. And then on top of, being a woman with a career and ideals and goals, don't waste my time.
So you felt like you didn't really do that as much with it. You thought you was, but looking back, you don't think you really did?
Right. Now that I'm looking back, I think I just had a lack of maturity. And I just assumed he was in the same heart and headspace that I was in.
And don't we put a lot on I love you?
Yeah.
Because I think when someone tells me I love you, like their I love you means the same thing as my I love you.
Right. And
Like I love you and I'm down with you for whatever.
Right.
And they're like, no, I love you, but you can be over there. And I'm gonna be over here.
Right.
Like it's just, that's something that has to be established, I think, kind of early on too, because
Absolutely.
that you would think, you would assume.
Right.
I think you'd be right to assume. I think you think I love you is the ultimate thing you could tell someone, right?
Right, but even in that, there's love languages.
Right.
You know, if you don't know what your most couples make the mistakes to assume, and they think that they speak the same love language as their partner, and it rarely happens that your partner speaks the same love language as you. So it's always good to know in premarital counseling to educate the couple on what are you guys' love language.
Right.
If your gift giving or your physical touch and your words of affirmation, you know, if you and I are in a relationship and you speak Spanish and I speak English, you're going to wonder why I never fulfill your needs, because we're not speaking the same language.
Right.